Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Day today is the 10th of March, of our Lord, 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motown Noah. Busy Sunday here at the household. So busy that I thought I was worried. Oh man, is it going to be another day that I don't even have a chance to record the show? I didn't even have a chance to shave today. I was supposed to shave today. Usually Sundays are my day. Maddie, my girlfriend, she's home from work. Get some relief from the solo dad efforts. Sundays are like a designated shower day for me. I didn't even have time to do that today, let alone shave. If I had asked her, we've been so busy today, if I had said to her, hey, I'm going to shave really quick, she would have looked at me like I was a damn Oompa Loompa or something. Oompa Loompas. Food for thought here. It's just coming to me in real time. I'm just thinking out loud. Is it explained in any of the movies or maybe the book where they came from? I think it is, and I'm not thinking about it right now. One of you guys is going to go down to the comments and get really deep in your bag. Well, actually, one of you actually bitches, this is where the Oompa Loompas came from. Is that like immigrant labor? Is that what that is? Is that what they were doing? Would it have been a HIPAA violation to ask an Oompa Loompa? No, that's not HIPAA. Is that OSHA? That's not OSHA. What is that? It's like, you ever witness somebody ask, how do I phrase this? You ever seen somebody get asked, like, where are you from? Someone who's like a white person asking a non-white person, where are you from? And they're like, I'm from Texas. And they're like, right, sure. But like, where are you from? You know what I mean? And all they're really asking is like a veiled mini racism. It's not really racist to ask somebody. It's like you're just kind of beating around the bush and now you're making it weird. Just ask like, what are you? But I also imagine it's very off-putting to be asked what you are. I've been asked what I am before. Have I told this story before? I was like 10. I was getting my hair cut. When I was growing up, I used to always get my hair cut at beauty salons. My mom one time took me to like an actual like barber shop, capital B barber shop. They got that little spinny thing, the little spiral red and white thing outside of the door. I went to one time. In retrospect, I'd love to know why my mom decided to take me there one time. I don't know if it was to like try to give me like a boost of confidence. I know now, I don't know if my mom wants me to say this, but I know now that my mom thought that part of the reason that I was having so much trouble growing up, I had a hard time as a teenager, like a lot of us did, right? But, I had a hard time. And I know now, looking back on it, my mom has admitted this to me. She thought that one of the things that I was struggling with was that I might be gay. And so she was like, I don't know. She didn't really expand on it, but she floated that out. She very softly floated that out to me. In recent years, she's like, I thought maybe. So it's funny to look back on the one time that she took me to like a barber shop. It was that like to try to get me to feel like I was, what you get where I'm going with this. I guess I don't know how to communicate it. Never went back there. I've also since learned that a lot of the guys that go there are like neo-Nazis, like skinheads. Maybe part of the reason why we never went back there. But the reason that I'm bringing this up, so one of the times at the beauty salon that I would get my hair cut, I'm like 10 years old, man. And the woman, just in the middle of cutting my hair, you get the, the mundane conversation going. She's just, so what are you? That's what she said to me. She goes, so what are you? I was like, I'm American. I'm 10 years old. I'm American. She's like, sure, sweetie. But like, what are you? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even understand what that question was. And so since then, probably like 5 times since that point, when I was 10 years old, someone has assumed that I am of some sort of Middle Eastern descent. I have not been able to figure out why. I think I might know why, but I don't want to say this and then it comes off as like we're doing like a Tosh.0 is it racist segment where I just say, I think this is why people assume I'm Middle Eastern. I think it's because my eyebrows are really bushy. I think it's because I am. I mean, hey, if you're watching today's episode, I got the chest hair going out today. I am like a hairy guy, but I wasn't hairy when I was 10. I just have really dark features. I think that's what it is. And then the way that that contrasts on my like otherwise very pale complexion, I think sometimes it gives people a little bit of pause, a little bit of confusion. So I just can't imagine, like, what does the "what are you" question feel like for somebody who is of, like, I don't know, descent of, like, not white? Like, is that what? There's a question for the panel. You know, usually we like to save the questions for the end of the show. Have you ever been hit with a "so what are you"? Folks, we got a big show for you guys today. We're actually going to be leaning on emails a lot because the inbox was hot this week. We had a hot inbox. And I learned something. You guys just want to do it now? copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. I'm a little concerned. I got to be honest with you. I'm scoping out a potential civil war. There's a domestic conflict, I think, here at the Coping Hour. And it was perpetuated by me on accident. I think I may have been the Archduke Ferdinand in this whole situation, where I said, sort of offhand, at the tail end of last episode, I made a comment about, you know, hey, I hope you're sitting down for this. And I said, imagine that, like somebody listening to this show, somebody who listens to the show standing up. I said, that person does not exist. I said, if anything, it's 95% of the people who listen to the show are sitting down. I've since learned that's not true, because people are coming out of the woodwork. Names I've never seen comment, names I've never seen email into the show to let me know that that is in fact not true. So what do you say we do a few emails here, 2 quick hitters to demonstrate my point? These were the first 2 that came in. This one comes into us from Hayden. Hayden, welcome to the show. Subject line, last show standing. Hey, Nick, was listening to the show and unfortunately realized that I'm the asshole listening to the show standing up. As you said it, I usually listen to the show while getting some shots up at the gym, so I'm in the 5% demographic. Hayden, sounds like it might be more than 5% because we got this one coming in from Rylan. Rylan, welcome to the show. Subject line, justice for the standers. Hey, Nick, I listen to the show standing probably a majority of the time, and I think the slander on me and my fellow standing folks is unwarranted. We will not sit down for this. Expect war. Now, I don't want to give this guy credit or Hayden, the previous emailer, much credit and give them the impression that they have a coalition, but a lot of people share this sentiment. A lot of manual labor workers out there, some package deliverers out there who listen to the show while they're doing their job, mostly standing up. I'm telling you, there's something here, okay? This is war, is the communication that was sent to me that came across my desk here at the Coping Hour. Just consider to yourself if this is actually what you want, all right? Because I'm the one who runs to confrontation. I don't run from it. I show up, I pull a pin on a grenade, I throw it in, I close the door, I walk away. Am I really the one that you want to go to war with? And the other piece of this, standers out there who decided to make their voices heard here at the Coping Hour, just know this. You've given me ammunition. Thanks for that, by the way. And I'll be a good host. I'll show you my cards. I'll tell you what the ammunition is. Because it's not just you guys. It's also the people who, for some reason, believe that if the Bo Nix-led Oregon Ducks played the Michael Penix-led Washington Huskies a third time in Autzen, that Washington would have won. If I mention that, because Oregon they would have won if they played a third time. If I mention that, or if I mention, hey, nobody really stands when they listen to the show, people will email me, okay? So what I've learned is that all I have to do is just say something. I gotta figure out what the thing is. I just gotta put a bunch of shots up, and then the engagement just goes through the roof, right? And then we got a good show. We got a good segment at worst because people are feeling me. And as I'm saying this, I realize something. I'm reinventing the wheel. I think here at the Coping Hour, we just invented television because that is all the television is. Is I say something that pisses you at home off and it sparks the conversation. Holy shit. This is We just invented television. It took 131 episodes of the Coping Hour, and we have invented television. We've done it. This is like when you go back to the 50s or the 60s, and television broadcasts around the world have a very a landmark moment where they switch in real time, live on the air, from black and white to a color picture. That is what just happened. You just saw it happen with your own two eyes, with your own two ears. You watched it or listened to it happen on the Coping Hour, where we just invented television, and we finally figured out how this damn media machine works. And I thank you, Standers, for allowing me to come to that conclusion in real time. I think the war's over. I think we just figured it out. The war is over. There's no reason to have there's no reason for there to be a conflict over this. You talk about diplomacy at its finest. That's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I guess that's it. I had about 10 more minutes on that, but imagine that. Imagine a president who just gets up there and there's something going on in some desolate part of the world, and all they do is just think out loud. They give like a congressional address, and it's 2 hours, the same way that the one that Trump just gave was 2 hours. I got something on that just a second. But instead of it being like, I don't know, that's basically what Trump is doing up there. I mean, he is reading off of teleprompters. He is. But not really. It's always funny when you see Trump go off script, because you immediately know when he's off script. He'll read something like, the death toll in Ukraine are numbers that we've never seen before. And that's really something. I mean, numbers that are extreme. And I talked to many people today, and they all say it was something that, and at this point, you're like, this is not on the, but how funny also would that be is if when he does those little tangents, when he's like, I walked into the Oval Office and people say, wow, it's a very beautiful office. And I say, I know, have you ever seen an office this beautiful? And they say, no, I've never seen an office this beautiful. If his speechwriters are actually just so in tune with how he speaks, like what his speech pattern actually is, that they write all of that shit in. And so it makes complete sense for him, and he's just able to read it perfectly. I don't know, where the fuck was I going with this? Yeah, okay, so Trump gave his congressional address the other day. I got a couple things on this, all right? I'm upset because every single person that I have talked to about this, or at least have attempted to have a conversation about, like, Trump's congressional address, did nobody watch it? Anybody that I've talked to is like, no, I didn't fucking watch that. I'm like, wait, I thought we were all in this together. If you know what I mean? Like, am I the asshole that I actually sat through 2 hours of him just like saying shit, and JD Vance essentially being on a Stairmaster, having no idea whether he's coming or going. He's standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, giving an applause every 15 syllables that Trump speaks. It was crazy. I'm like, I thought we were all allies in this whole thing. Like, when the quote unquote, if we are to believe that the most interesting or important thing in the world happening right now is America just having this like alt-right moment, that guy speaks for 2 hours. Yeah, I think it's the most captivating thing happening in our culture right now. I thought it was important to listen to that. I guess it wasn't, because anybody who I've tried to, and then it's like, this is who is like having opinions on this shit. And I'm not saying, look, it's not the fucking NBA. You don't have to, it's not like, hey, if you don't watch the games, I don't want to hear your takes. It's not really like that. I'm not really trying to say you didn't sit through 2 hours of Trump just kind of talking and like doing a weird victory lap. I did think it was weird that he didn't mention that he didn't mention Gaza, and he didn't mention Ukraine like one time. Got to talk for 2 hours. Those are like the only two things he wants to talk about at all right now, which is like beachfront property, bulldoze Gaza. I don't know, go in there, have boots on the ground, and like we just turn Gaza into like the next Abu Dhabi. Like, I don't really know. He wants to talk about that, or he wants to talk about how ungrateful Zelensky is and how like he's not thankful for, which is goddamn, that annoys me so much. I'm like, dude, the reason he's not, JD Vance, his little fuck. them sitting down with, this is the way that the show is going today, folks. I guess this is how it's going. We cover all the biggest stories. We cover them from all angles. I don't know what a bigger story is in the world right now than the United States aligning themselves with like the countries that we as a people, as citizens, have been led to believe are the boogeymen for the last 70 years. Wait, so now we're fucking best friends with Russia? Oh, okay. So now we're just like, all this Russian disinformation, like this is now all the shit that these are our talking points. This is what, okay. I do not believe that that JD Vance and Donald Trump went into that meeting in the Oval Office with Zelensky with the intention of the deal actually going through. I do not believe, which by the way, I think is a good thing for Ukraine. And I think it's a good thing for Zelensky because I don't think that economic colonization is what Ukraine needs in order to to win this war against Russia. Like this rare earth, quote unquote, rare earth mineral deal that Trump wants to sign. They don't even have $500 billion worth of rare earth in Ukraine. So I don't understand where you want graphite. They got graphite. I guess they got that, but like the chip making shit, they don't have that many deposits in Ukraine for that. It just didn't make any sense. So he doesn't roll over. And then Trump's little fucking lapdog, JD Vance, is like, you've never said thank you to America. Actually, he has. He's just not going to thank you and Trump because you guys weren't the ones who gave him all that money in the first place. In fact, pretty much everything that those two have said as it relates to Ukraine and to Zelensky has been like, you're a fucking dictator and you don't deserve our money. You're an asshole and your country deserves to get taken over. You're like, wait, what? And then a reporter's like, hey, do you regret calling Zelensky a dictator? And Trump's like, wow, I can't believe I said that. Did I say that? I said that? And that's the thing about him. I just don't understand how you're supposed to trust Donald Trump when he says one thing and then literally 48 hours later will be like, wow, I can't believe I said that. That's insane. I don't know. I don't know. It's insane. He's sitting there. Did I say that? Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea they said that. How the fuck did we get here? I don't even remember how I started talking about this whole thing. I have no idea. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching this congressional address, and I'm watching Al Green get up and be like, you're a pussy. I hate you, Donald Trump. You're not good at your job. I believe what he was shouting about during the address had something to do with Medicaid or Medicare. I don't know which one it was. There's a lot of conjecture out there about what he actually said. But Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is eventually like, kick this guy out of here. Okay, fine. And then like 2 days later, House Democrats or Senate Democrats, whatever the fuck, vote along with the Republicans to censure Al Green, to slap on the wrist, shut up, we condemn the behavior. Wait, so what is it? What a broken and miserable party the Democrats have become here in the United States. Totally fucking spineless. Cute little silent protests that they were doing with their little like auction signs being like, he's lying, protect veterans. Cute little pink suits that you guys were wearing. The fuck? Trump spends the whole week teasing special guests at this event like it's the fucking 50th anniversary for SNL. Can you imagine if he brought Zelensky out? There's like an applause sign. There's like a delayed reaction to when they cut to Zelensky. Oh, everybody goes fucking crazy. They signed the mineral deal. No, didn't happen. Instead, he just brought a bunch of people. I thought it was weird. He was using like civilians as human shields. I didn't find it touching that he was like showing the families of people who have been victims of horrible tragedies. The guy who actually got killed in Butler, Pennsylvania when Trump almost got his head blown off. The guy who actually got killed, his widow and his like kids were there. I don't know. Trump was just kind of turning it into something that it just felt weird. And then another part that I just don't understand is Trump is talking about like unelected officials being billionaires in America is over. Like it's officially over. And all of the Republicans they give him a standing ovation like Trump was the fucking Beatles playing the Ed Sullivan show. And I'm sitting there rubbing my eyes like a goddamn Looney Tunes character. all of the Democrats start pointing up to where Elon is sitting. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't know. This is where I'm just confused because I'm like, what reality are you guys in? Like, what reality are you consuming that you don't understand the irony in what Trump just did? And so that's where I take it upon myself. Dude, I've refired up my Truth Social account. Real shit, I did. I'm back on Truth Social because I'm like, I need to know what they're saying. I can't believe this. The reason I did it was after the Zelensky thing in the Oval Office, where I was like, I need to, what is the spin zone on this? I need to know how they're spitting this as like a, and it turns out all they did was just like eat up all of the shit that Trump and JD Vance were saying to them. Man, Truth Social, I don't have too much for you guys yet. What's crazy is X, formerly known as Twitter, has actually turned into somewhat more of a hellscape, like a racist hellscape than Truth Social somehow. Because Truth Social does a better job of filtering out the, like, very direct racism, whereas, like, X, formerly known as Twitter, has sort of just devolved into, like, your feed will basically be, like, a guy saying the N-word who shouldn't be saying the N-word, porn, and then, like, a deep-fried shitpost. And you're like, what? So what is this? Truth Social is essentially like Facebook memes, dog whistles, like racist dog whistle shit that is definitely racist, but it's like, if to the untrained eye may not come across as racism. It's like more nuanced racism. You know what I mean? No, that's not the way to phrase it. It's Truth Social. You also can't discern. Here's another interesting thing about Truth Social. I've learned this over the years, the amount of different times that I would fire up an account. The reason that I do this, by the way, maybe I should cover my tracks. The same reason that I will fire up my Truth Social account or, peruse heavily conservative spaces is because it's like, I can't know how to combat what you're saying if I don't know what you're saying. Like front lines in real time, not through some, clipped out leftist media. I need to know exactly what you're saying, right? And also just because I can't help myself. Talk about running to confrontation. I just need to, I love being boots on the ground for that shit, right? Not very tame. You go through Trump's replies on Truth Social. Holy shit. There's also something to be said, I think, about just as a culture, how we've kind of lost our way. Not even just with memes, by the way. I don't want to say lost our way or lost our culture or whatever, because I think a lot of it is this is just how we evolve, and the way that we consume media and the way that we consume like jokes it's just different. And it's not right one way or another. But like, remember when all it took 15 years ago, little under that, but I'm thinking of Dallas beating Miami in the finals, and it's Dirk Nowitzki as Frodo, and he's holding the ring, and it's LeBron as Gollum, and instead of Fellowship of the Ring, it says Loss of the Ring. You remember that one? Or the most famous one, like top text, bottom text meme, was like, Mom made pizza rolls, and it's like James Harden going crazy with like Kevin Durant in the background. Top text, bottom text was like super hot in like 2010. You think about the crazy girlfriend meme. You think about Bad Luck Brian. Remember Bad Luck Brian? Like, that's what memes used to be. And so you think about the way that we consume media now and the way that the average person is able to contribute and is able to participate in the same media that we were consuming 10 years ago, sort of as observers. Now we are contributors to that. I think almost a consequence of that is when everybody's part of the culture, I don't think you're able to create counterculture. And maybe that's not the way to phrase it, but counterculture, I think, is the point here. That it just doesn't really exist the same way that it would have 30 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. You think about, like, punk music. Like, think about Green Day, the band Green Day. I think, music is so important in this way. Art, in general, art pieces, however you conceive of art, is important for counterculture because it acts as a litmus test for what we as a society reject morally or accept morally. Do you get what I'm saying here? So when you don't have people producing this very provocative content, this very I was on such a roll. You're not able to delineate what we are and are not okay with culturally, because everything sort of blends together. It's the same reason that you think about like monoculture in media. You think about television or like theater, not like a stage theater. I guess you could throw that in there too. I don't know how many years has it been since stage theater has really been an important part of our culture. It's been like 80 years. But like movies, cinema, and shit like that, right? Music and the like. It's even hard for something like that to exist anymore because we as a culture have just evolved to exist in so many different digital spaces, right? Where some people will only consume their media on Twitter, formerly known X, formerly known as Twitter. Some people only consume it on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. Like some people sort of branch out, but like you have so many different pieces of media to consume, and the sort of inside jokes that go with them are smaller because there are so many different things for us to consume now that we are not all forced to watch the same thing. When you think about like the quote unquote downfall of cable, this is a piece of it that came with it. The uprising of streaming and things like YouTube and TikTok, Instagram Reels, and all the short form content. It allows people to move into, it's like they get herded up into their own little spaces. I'm so close. I'm in the red zone with this point. I really hope I'm getting you close to what I'm trying to say here. That does not exist anymore. So when I talk about monoculture on television, I say that Succession was the last true piece of monoculture that we had. I'm being hyperbolic. I don't believe that that's actually true. A lot of people watched it. A lot of people discussed it. A lot of people, the same thing with House of the Dragon. Like HBO is one of the only networks that can still get away with that sort of thing. With Netflix, what has it been? I believe this in my heart. The last true piece of monoculture that everybody talked about was probably Tiger King. And I think that the only reason that happened was because it coincided with coronavirus hitting globally. Everybody was shut down. Everybody was inside. If you want to look at this through the sports lens, the piece of it that I think people forget about The Last Dance is how The Last Dance actually ended up getting released. Not how it was made, but at least how it was released. So COVID happens in March here in the United States was when everything got shut down. It was about 5 years ago around this time right now, actually, that I'm taping this, that it happened. And we were only a few weeks into it, and we knew that The Last Dance was going to happen, but it was supposed to be released in June. ESPN, enough pressure was applied to them socially, on social media. People were like, dude, just release it now. Just release it now. We need something to watch. We're all inside. We're going insane. And ESPN, The Last Dance was not done. I think when they released it, the last like 3 or 4 episodes still had to be edited. They were not in the can. They just had the footage. I think they had just finished filming some little confessionals, whatever you want, some one-on-ones with some of the people or players, coaches, whoever it would have been at the time that the first episode released. So it was kind of scuffed on their part. So you can throw that in there too. But since then, since we've all gotten out of COVID, we're all living our individual lives, you just don't have that thing that we are all watching anymore. 60 years ago, 50 years ago, this was like MASH. Everybody watched the series finale of MASH. It's the same thing with Seinfeld. It was like a third of the country watched that happen live. If it wasn't more than that, I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Well, a few things could explain that. MASH, there was like 6 channels. There wasn't that much on TV. There was more than 6 channels, but there was not that much on TV. Seinfeld, I mean, there are a million reasons. Some of it is sort of the same. You know, there weren't that many sitcoms. There weren't that many shows. Like with streaming now, one season will get greenlit. A show will get greenlit for a season on Netflix, right? And then they'll end it on some cliffhanger. What's going to happen? And then it gets killed. They dump $50 million into taping a season of a show, and then it doesn't even get to see a second season because somehow there is more content out there on streaming services than there is an audience for them. That's where we're at now. People just aren't watching that much shit. This, by the way, even goes a layer deeper. Like, people aren't watching live sports, period, that much anymore. They're not. The average viewer of, like, a Premier League game, 42, 44, somewhere in the early to mid 40s. You know why? Because young people like me, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't watch the games. They don't. They watch the highlights on YouTube. If you go any Sunday afternoon during the NFL season, or any, weekend or weekday, whenever there's a Premier League game happening in Europe, if you go to the extended highlight video of that game after it happens, wait 24 hours, it will be at 1 million views. I'm telling you, the amount of money that these leagues make, now it pales in comparison to like TV deals and merchandise and ticket sales and yada, yada, yada. But the money that these leagues make from ad revenue on their YouTube videos of their extended highlights is crazy, because that's how most people consume it. They don't have attention spans for this shit. They don't. And so it's also interesting that you're starting to see with soccer specifically, like, new leagues kind of start, but they're like content creator leagues. And so the people that kids are spending more time watching than the actual athletes themselves are getting KSI had a charity soccer match happen just the other day. I mean, this was literally Friday or Saturday. Mr. Beast was playing in it. Speed's playing in it. XQC is a goalie. Like, it's a lot of guys playing in this game that you would know. A lot of faces that you would know. There was one point in the live stream, I don't know concurrently what their high was. It was over 1 million people. What the fuck? What? 1 million people are watching this live stream right now? I saw the number in front of my face. 1 million people. That's bizarre. Because the demographic for that had to have been, 16? The average demographic for that, got to bump it a little bit. Maybe 20? I don't know what it would have been, but I know that it would have been a lot lower than the average viewer of any of the major sports that we have. So, like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that information? I don't know. But they're not watching live sports. The kids are not watching live sports. People in general just aren't watching most of what's on TV or, hitting theaters. They'll just watch shit on YouTube Shorts. It's like short form content. We got an email about this the other day too, where it was like, hey, Nick, the Oscars are coming up. I really want to get into I'm not going to pull up the email right now. I don't want to disrupt my rhythm, so I apologize. I don't remember your name, but thank you for sending in the email. It's like, I want to get into movies, but like straight up, I don't have the attention span for it. Like, I don't know what you do with that. I have no idea what you do with that. Some of you who are listening to the show right now are educators. I would love to know how you are dealing with this, because I can't imagine what it must be like in a classroom. And how, like, ADD a lot of these kids must be, and how, you're up there doing pre-calc, and you have to put a projector next to your whiteboard of somebody just, like, speed running a course in Minecraft or something like that, like jumping from brick to brick over lava, or, like, going up a spiral little obstacle course or something like that. Do you have to do that in order to get these kids to actually pay attention? I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. I'm serious. Like, this is self-admitted stuff. The numbers don't lie on this, on like who's being affected and, whose attention spans are affected by this and whose aren't. I have no idea. It's like almost, I would also argue it's like an instant gratification thing, where that's where the short form stuff comes in. Oh, I only have to wait 60 seconds and then the thing that I'm waiting for will happen. And I know that that will be true because after 60 seconds happens, I'm on to the next thing, right? I have no idea. I don't know. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Let's do a basketball email. What do you guys think? From Tom. Bathroom Tom. Wizards fan Tom. Some of you may know him by his preferred nomenclature, Hot Tom. Tom, welcome back to the show, brother. Subject line, Puerto Rico NBA/2K genius. Hey, Nick. In the Airbnb bathroom, San Juan, Puerto Rico, with the French girlfriend. Did you want me to say that? I said it. Hope you're okay with that. I knew that, Tom, because I read your emails, and I knew that that was the... Can the world know that? She sounds very nice. The emails you've sent me about her. She sounds like a very nice woman. Is it okay if the... I'm just going to roll the dice on this, Tom. I'm not going to bleep that out. Tom's got a French girlfriend. Okay. I am on spring break for law school, and I've been stuck thinking about basketball in moments where we've just been relaxing before bed or during waiting. Anyways, I do this 2K league with my friends where we do fantasy drafts, and I consistently feel like the worst selections I make are the superstars. Yes, they have higher ratings and better badges, but there is something about playing with the top guys of the league that is different in 2K. I can't explain it other than this. While the player is good, the actual ball knowledge needed to effectively play with them is more necessary than the ratings. An easy example, I'll use LeBron. Yes, you can rim run a bit with him or hit a 3-ball here or there, but I consistently perform worse with guys like Devin Booker than I do with the 2K-coded players like Scoot Henderson or Amen Thompson being absolute speed demons and rim runners. Or guys like Harden/Curry where you can shot chuck to some degree and feel safe about making a good portion of them. This all leads to the question, what players do you think are more ball knowledge or scheming than actual raw skill and talent? I get that they are all talented, and as Brian Scalabrine famously said, they are all, quote, closer to Michael Jordan than we are to them, unquote. But I feel like this is valid. Shea may also fall into this category as well, but LeBron seemed like the easier target. Cheers from Puerto Rico, and a hello to the family from me. And then also, for those of you who listened to the last episode, Levi, 10-year-old field reporter, 10-year-old correspondent of the Coping Hour. I'm sorry, not Levi, it was Lev. Challenged Tom to a poop-off. Haven't gotten any clarity on what that means. But Tom has a response. He said, Lev, I can say with confidence that the longest I've been on the toilet for a poop is 1 hour and 15 minutes. Not including drunk doom scrolling when coming home from the bar. Tom, he's 10 years old. Don't put this in his head. Drunk doom scrolling. He doesn't know what either of those words mean. Let him be excited about becoming an adult someday. Don't let him know what it's actually like. You turn 21 and you're like, I could get drunk. And then you get drunk and nobody's around and you're like, I'm sad. And then you just scroll on your phone. And then you doom scroll. And then your attention span gets all fucked up by your algorithms, giving you all this instant gratification. Don't teach him this, Tom. Come on, Tom. Come on, Bathroom Tom. Come on, Wizards fan Tom. Come on, some of you may know him by his preferred nomenclature, Hot Tom. What the hell? Shout out to Puerto Rico, by the way. We will address the actual email. Tom's in Puerto Rico. Wow. San Juan. Maybe we stayed at the same place, Tom. You want to go to Puerto Rico together? You want to do a... Well, we can't do 5 of us. I don't know, Tom. You want to babysit? You want to babysit my kid? Maddie and I can go to Puerto Rico and we just hang out. I don't know why I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I don't know when you're going to get back to me on this. I don't know when you're going to hear this. Why don't I just answer your fucking email? What is it? Players who are actually like ball knowledge and scheming than actual raw skill and talent? Yeah, I mean, like LeBron is definitely both. You know, Steph is both. I don't know. I was going to say Giannis, but he really is I've never liked the run and dunk man thing, but it's also like, well, yeah, but he is as good as he is because he's literally bigger than anybody. Anybody that I'm going to say on this list that doesn't count, to Tom's point, it's like, it's not that they're not good, but that's not what we're talking about. Is it Jokic? Is it him? Because, yeah, he's bigger than everybody, for sure. Does he use that to his advantage? Yeah, he does, 100%. But, like, Jokic just had 30, 20, and 20. Did you see that? Did you hear about that? Jokic had 30, 20, and 20. What the hell? Didn't they blow an 18-point lead in that game, too? Scott Van Pelt is trying to talk to him post-game. He's like, dude, do you realize nobody has ever done what you just did? I don't think anybody's ever going to do what you just did again. And Jokic was like, yeah, we played well, and, like, didn't care. He didn't care at all. It was reminiscent of him literally winning the finals and being like, now we can go home. And you're like, huh? Reporter asks him, like, are you excited for the parade? And Jokic looks over to, I don't know, maybe the PR person, and he was like, when is parade? And they're like, in like 3 days. And he was like, fuck. He's like, I have to go home. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. This shit is a job to him. And so he goes out there. But, okay, I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. I think Jokic counts because you can't get those 20 rebounds and you can't get those 20 assists without knowing where everybody else on the floor is about to be or, like, where to position yourself. Because Isaiah Thomas very famously had a quote in the, I wouldn't say this is very famous. People don't remember the documentary because he said this, but it stuck out to me. In the Bad Boys documentary, the 30 for 30 that ESPN did, there was something about Isaiah, like, the reason he was so special when he first got in the league is because, like, when you have the ball, you control the movement of 10 other players, and at the time that he was drafted, nobody was doing it as well as he was doing it. I mean, unless your name was, like, Magic or Larry or something like that. He was just so gifted immediately. It's the same thing with Jokic. He knows how to control those other 10 players that are on the floor, and he knows where to put the ball for his guys and, like, how to get them open by just holding the ball. And so I think I would absolutely have to include him in that list. It's hilarious to me. Like, he just has to be the MVP again this year. He just has to be. And people are going to be so annoyed about it. They're going to be so fucking bitter if Jokic wins another MVP. And I just imagine that from, like, a legacy perspective. The guy who was so good that people just started rolling their eyes when you had to keep giving him MVP. You had to. Now, I'm not saying that Nikola Jokic invented voter fatigue, because he didn't. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like the guy who... LeBron hasn't won an MVP in over 10 years. And in those 10 years, since or however long it's been since LeBron has won MVP, you know how many times he's been the best player in the world? Most of those years. Most of them. With the exception of, like, the last 4 was when we started to be like, I don't think he's still one of the best, but he's not the absolute definitive number 1 player in the world anymore. LeBron went how many years of being the absolute definitive number 1 player in the world? And we just fucking did not give him the MVP, like, ever. I've always hated that. Well, Jokic is literally so good that you can't not. You can't not. I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about Shea. I'm not saying, I don't know, but I don't know how you wouldn't. And the fact that people are going to use that, and it's not like he doesn't win, by the way. It would be one thing if we were still sitting here. Dude, if we were still sitting here being like, he's never won a championship and he probably never will. Even I would be like, all right, what the hell? Because at some point that has to matter a little bit. No, the MVP does not, it's not a reflection of how you perform in the postseason. That's what the finals MVP is for sure. But it would be like, okay, why do we keep rewarding this guy for being a regular season merchant? He's not, though. He's not. He won an NBA championship in pretty convincing fashion, I might add. And then years down the road, we're almost 2 years removed from that, 30, 20, and 20. For a Nuggets team that, for all intents and purposes, for the last, like, month and a half, has been surging. It's been awesome. Probably him. Any other players that I think are, like, technically smart? I think I covered that one, probably. I would just say Jokic. There are way more than that, but yeah, definitely him. I think Lonzo is in there a little bit too. I think, like, technically speaking, like, I mean that very literally from a technical basketball standpoint. Mechanically, I think the way that Lonzo plays is more reliant on his knowledge than of his actual ability. where I guess maybe it gets a little bit confusing is like, what does that mean with Luka? It's not that he's not talented, because he is, but the only reason... Wait, okay, so wait, hold on. If I'm saying that Luka... Which do I think he relies on more? His skill set or his... Like his brain for basketball? His skill set. I think probably just that. Maybe another question in there would be like, what player in the NBA is the best blend of like true for the love of the game hoop knowledge and skill? I think it would be a 3-way tie between, well, the truth is LeBron would win. But if we're kicking LeBron out because he's old, just on some like, it's just ageism. Is that what it is? Yeah, he's just old. You can kick LeBron out. I would say it's a 3-way tie between Kyrie, Steph, and KD. Yeah. Chris Paul? You want to put Chris Paul in there? Feels a little bit disrespectful to not. It would, but then at the same time, it would also feel disrespectful to not put James Harden in there. Because it's like, you talk about James Harden and Chris Paul, two guys who made entire careers out of manipulating the rule book. Like, those are people who understand not just the sport, but the fucking rule book on a fundamental level in a way to benefit their career, even if it comes off, if it's perceived as like, not cheating, but very soft cheating. It's like, you're kind of just an asshole. For both of them, that's kind of been the case. You know, James Harden, I would otherwise love a guy turning back the clock. I love when shit like this happens. James Harden puts up 50 the other night. You guys see that? I did. It was on Detroit. What the hell? Chill out. And it's one thing if you're going to do that against Detroit. You couldn't have done it on the road. No. James Harden put 50 up on the Pistons with Steve Ballmer sitting where he usually sits and Barack Obama, 44th president of the United States, as his guest of honor. Sitting right next to Steve Ballmer is motherfucking Barack Obama. Obama watched my team get 50 from James Harden. Tim Robinson was at this game too. Living in probably the Valley. I don't believe he lives in actual Los Angeles. Tim Robinson. That guy has to live in like Glendale or Burbank or something. There's no way he lives in Los Angeles. Tim Robinson's there. He watched his team lose and get 50 put on the... Damn it, James Harden. Relax. He did have a yam that was pretty cool. James Harden's somebody who I think for the rest of my life, I'll just look... I think people are... I don't think that's true. I was going to say I think people are going to treat him post-career the way that they treat Carmelo, where they just rewrite history and they think Carmelo didn't fucking do anything and that he sucked. He did not suck. You never see positive Carmelo discourse. I don't know what he did to you. I was going to say, I think that's going to be the same thing with James Harden. I don't know. I think people will forget the way that he bounced around. I think they will forget the nuance of like how he left Houston and how he left Brooklyn and how he left Philadelphia and then whatever happens, right? I think people will forget that and they'll just focus on the Oklahoma City piece of the whole thing and just completely ignore all of the context there. And they'll focus on his Houston stuff, which I think which they should. And then the third will probably be like, oh, what if he actually got to play with Kyrie and KD and they didn't just play for like 5 games together and that was literally it. Philly? You want a bizarre take? I think so much of what is still happening in Philadelphia, mostly about and almost exclusively, well, it's not exclusively about Joel Embiid because the whole Paul George thing too. Guy retired from podcasting so that he can be good at basketball again. It's kind of working. It's like very softly working again. Okay, I guess. I don't think people are going to remember James Harden being in fucking China at like a youth camp and him being like, Daryl Morey is a liar and I'm never going to play for him ever again. And I just can't imagine all of these kids who may have no fucking idea what he just said. The idea of James Harden showing up at a youth camp and being like, give me just a second. I need to get this tweet off. And then he gives his boy the phone to be like, Daryl Morey is a fucking liar. And then he's like, all right, throw the balls out, kids. Let's go. James Harden, what a career he's had. Let's do another email. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listed in this program. Which one these are two very different emails, but they're not about sports. I don't know which one to do. Let's do this one first, because it may be quicker. This one comes into us from Drew. Drew, welcome to the show. Subject line, the official Coping Hour Census. Hey, Nick. Long time, first time. Currently on a Peter Pan bus, shipping back up to Boston for school and listening to episode 130. Your comment on stand-up versus sit-down Coping Hour watches got me thinking that the Coping Hour could absolutely do a census survey with plenty of questions just like that. Also feels to me like something the constituency would have good participation in. Something like Hank and John Green do every year, where they have a survey sent out to everyone that watches any of their content. I brainstormed some of the questions to potentially ask and would gladly put together a Google form if this is something you'd be interested in. Maybe you can crowdsource some more questions in the next episode. Coming from a data science guy, I would love to dig into this as a little project. Wow, thank you very much for this, dude. You guys want to fire through some of these questions? I figure it does kind of make sense, too, doesn't it? I mean, we just had a civil war. Luckily, we were able to talk about Donald Trump being like, I will end this conflict in Ukraine in one day. I ended this fucking Coping Hour Civil War in one episode. I ended that shit in like literally 2.5 minutes. What's up? Some of these questions, though. Favorite pro sports leagues, sports that you play / I've played in the past. Favorite teams in each of the major sports. Favorite teams specific to the year. Example would be like the 2015 New York Rangers, the 2019 Raptors, something like that. How do you usually watch the Coping Hour? In the car, at the gym, leisurely, etc. I would also maybe throw in there like somebody's going to be like, usually when I'm smoking weed is when I listen to the Coping Hour. What's your diet, vegan, etc. Have you emailed the show before? How many times have you emailed the show? This is all fun. Drew, I don't want to say roll with all of these questions and do it. I'll send you an email. I'm hoping that I remember to send you an email. If by the time you hear this, brother, I haven't sent you an email, go ahead and double up on this. Just be like bump, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I have to send this guy an email. I think it would be fun if in the next episode we have something like a Coping Hour census. I actually agree with this. I think that it would be really fun. Any other questions that you guys want to throw in here? To leave them down in the comments on YouTube, on Spotify. Send them into the email. Let's do one more email. We haven't done one of these ones in a while. I think it could be fun. It's not going to be fun. It's going to get weird. Because I feel bad. Let me just do it. This one comes into us from Joseph. Joseph, brother, welcome to the show. Subject line, relationship advice needed, please. Hey, Nick. Long-time listener here. Love what you're doing with the show. I wanted to ask you about something I've been dealing with my girlfriend the past couple of days. From what I can gather, you seem to... Thank you very much for this, brother. Every single spring break since I was 10 years old, my family has taken a week-long spring break trip together somewhere out of state. This has always bothered my girlfriend. For the last 3 spring breaks, she will be absolutely pissed about me going out with my family on these trips. She will say that I'm too grown for them and that I should prioritize her more. And I always tell her that spring break is always a good time, that my entire 7-person family has a week off at the same time and can take a trip together. For more context, my family are hardcore family-oriented Catholic Mexicans, while her family are Baptist. The differences need no explanation. Just to break the email for a second. Yeah, they definitely don't need an explanation because we obviously all understand the nuances of different denominations of faith. So thank God that nobody needs the extra indication of the severity of that dynamic. Luckily, we're all on the same page there, right? Back to the email, though. She doesn't speak to any of her siblings. She doesn't like her parents. and never really sees them. And sometimes it feels like she wants me to do the same as a way of quote unquote prioritizing her over them. We're both 22, so we're not getting married yet, and I've explained to her that things will be different when we're married, but for now, I love being with my parents and my siblings on trips. Am I not seeing something? I've tried empathizing with her and telling her that she's allowed to be upset about me being gone, but it doesn't feel like that's even the issue. It feels like she doesn't like that quote-unquote someone else is taking me away from her. She's telling me to stop doing these trips altogether. Now, to break the email one more time before we finish it, it was at this point in the email that I was kind of getting annoyed the first time I read it, because I was like, brother, invite her on the fucking trip. It's not that hard. I was getting so frustrated that that light bulb moment just was not happening in the email. And then we get back to the email. At the very end of it, for even more context, her and my sister have butted heads before, so her coming on the trips with us is off the table. So I just want to know if there is a perspective that maybe you see where she's coming from. Am I the asshole? I genuinely love these trips with my folks and feel lucky to have a family that I actually love being around, because I know not everyone has that. But me and her have been fighting about this for almost 3 days. Give me any options or opinions, please. Thanks, Nick. And then you included at the end, okay, now basketball take. I love Jimmy Butler. He has been my favorite player since I was 13. I think he's a Hall of Fame lock. Please explain why you hate him, because I truly don't understand. I love the cockiness and the goofiness. I feel like we're going to spend a little bit of time here on your email, brother. Do you want me to kill 5 minutes explaining again why I don't like Jimmy Butler? I'll do it for you. I just think he's an asshole. I don't think he's very nice to people. I think the way that he treats people as soon as he's not getting his way is very annoying. And I think despite the fact that the Warriors, as of this taping, since they acquired Jimmy Butler, like 11-1, playing really good basketball. Yeah, this is par for the course. Excited to see how this one blows up in their face too. Even if this is like the last team that he ever plays for, which for all intents and purposes, I would be surprised if he ended up on a different team. Everywhere that he has ever gone, there has been a mushroom cloud in his wake. And I don't think that shit is cool. I think it's annoying. And I think he is a kid. I think he's a little ass kid. I wouldn't say that to his face, though. I would say everything else. I would not call him a little ass kid to his face. I just think he's annoying. I'm the guy who's always like, if you're going to be the villain, just embrace being the villain, and then I'll be on board with it too. Jimmy Butler, I think, is a villain. He brands himself as such, and in doing that, embraces it. But it's something about the way that he does it that I actually just think he's an asshole. Yeah, that's it. He's just always rubbed me the wrong way. And, okay, back to the email. I don't want to be a mean man to you, dude, because you've been in a relationship, what did you say, 4 years? That takes a lot of commitment. You're 22 years old, so this is probably the first, like, super major relationship of your life, and to have made it 4 years is not nothing, dude. It's not. That's awesome. But I'm just confused, like, what the issue is for her. Because what that reads like, the information that you gave us, sounds like her not having a good relationship with her family is being projected onto you. And that doesn't seem fair. Like, I'm really trying to dance around this. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to say anything disrespectful about somebody that you love. But all I can do is work off of the information that you gave me, right? I would first try to extend an olive branch between her and your sister to see if something can be reconciled there. Because truly, dude, the easiest solution here is just inviting her on the fucking trips. And I don't know what her and your sister got into, like, a scuffle about. I don't know what they were fighting about. If it was like your sister being protective and being like, hey, you're mean to my boyfriend, aka, I'm sorry, to my brother. You're mean to your boyfriend, which is my brother. All right, well, she's probably coming from somewhere valid. I know that as somebody who, like, wishes that his family liked each other. We all like each other, but, like, we don't see each other. We don't. We talk to each other individually. I talk to my mom a little bit. We're back into a better place now. My mom and I didn't speak for last year, a long time. We're good now. My sister and I talk every now and then. My brother and I talk pretty much every day. Now that he lives in Chicago, we get to see him every now and then. But like, you know, we've always had sort of a weird relationship where we talk every day, but we don't talk about real stuff. Like, I remember even telling him that, like, Maddie was pregnant. Like, dude, you're going to be an uncle. I'm going to be a dad. I felt uncomfortable trying to have that conversation with him. I remember we hugged one time in 2015. It was his senior year of high school, and we hugged each other. It was, like, the most uncomfortable. Like, we don't hug. Like, that's not what we do. That's just not our relationship, right? I am going somewhere with this, okay? My dad, I don't talk to my dad that much. I don't hear from him that much. He doesn't hear from me. There are a lot of reasons why. I'm sure. We don't talk about it, though, so who knows, right? I'm saying this to you to say that you have a family that loves you, and that once a year, you guys all have your schedules line up, and you're able to go somewhere in the world, in the country, wherever you guys are going, to just be together and almost celebrate being a family, even if you guys aren't thinking about that consciously. There are a lot of people who are listening to the show right now who are envious of what you have and who wish that they could have what you have. There are, I don't know if it's an equal number, but also some people out there who are listening to this and being like, I don't have a good relationship with my family, and that's okay, and I don't want to see them. Those are hurt people. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we all have our own, like, familial trauma. There's nothing wrong with that. I would say it sounds like your girlfriend has her own fair share, and so I think it's important that you don't get pulled away from what you do have, because one day you won't. One day, all 7 of those people that you are on vacation with, one day, I'm not trying to be like dark or anything like that. It could be 40 years from now before anything bad happens. One day you won't have them. And the point that you're at in your life right now, dude, it is important to have that support system and to have those people in your life. It is equally important to have a partner in your life who isn't trying to ultimatum their way into you never seeing your fucking family for a week once a year. Because I just feel like again, dude, I'm not trying to overstep here or assume shit that I don't know. All I could do is work with what you sent me. I'm just like, if it was really that big of an issue for her, if it's that you're going on these trips, first of all, the fight between her and your sister must have been fucking bad, because I don't know how the immediate fix isn't just like, oh, why don't I go on these trips? If you believe that she doesn't even want to go, does this part of it matter? I'm thinking about this in real time, so I'm going to say this out loud, and let's figure out if this matters. If your girlfriend isn't even interested in going with you, relationships with siblings aside, if everything was perfectly okay and she still was like, no, I don't want to go, how would that make you feel? You would ask her why. Why do you think she wouldn't want to go? Only you know her, dude. Because I know how that would make me feel. Especially if we were 4 years into a relationship and you still don't fuck with my family. That's hard. That's really hard. Now, there's a balance between, like, being influenced by your family and just, like, hearing them out, right? I don't know if there's ever been any... I've been in situations where there is a member, like a significant other of a family member, who the entire family talks about. And the entire family is like, I fucking hate them. But when they're around, they tolerate them. I'm not trying to paint this picture and say that it's your... I'm just saying it can get really hostile and messy and, like, not fun when there is a significant other of a family member who is kind of trying to alienate the person that the family loves and drive that stake and force that divide. So I'm just trying to attack this thing from all angles for you, right? I don't know what the right answer here is. I'm a little worried to listen back to this and feel like I gave you some like shitty advice. I might do that. Maybe put some text on screen for you. I might not. I don't know if I feel like I gave sound advice. I don't know. But this is hard, dude. This is hard. What I would say to you is like, don't stop doing this with your family. No matter what, I don't think you should concede to that pressure, no matter what fights it may cost. Or, well, I meant cause, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, look, a 4-year relationship is, again, that's serious. That's real. You guys have been through a lot together. But if this keeps being a point of contention, I think about it now through the lens of a parent, where if my son was dating somebody who kept trying to cut him off from our family, I would feel some type of way. If I felt like that person was influencing my son to, like, again, create that wedge and force that divide, that's not going to feel great. And so it just, I'm sure there's a perspective out there where maybe this makes complete sense. I just think, like, this doesn't feel fair of me to say, but this sounds like somebody who, like, needs to go to therapy and, like, work some shit out. I'm not even trying to be rude, but, like, it sounds like there is some deep familial trauma there that she just needs to, like, get off her chest. I don't know how much you know about it. I don't know if maybe, who knows? But I don't think it's fair to be taking that out on you, right? I hope that was something for you, dude. But what else do we got for today's show? Just to close things out. There was another email. I'm gonna try to. Do I want to do it right now? It's about Josh Giddey and Xavier Worthy. It's just there's so much nuance in my brain. I don't have it. Nia, bump this email for me, Nia. Your Josh Giddey, Xavier Worthy email, so that I'm able to read it on Friday. Premier League coming to America. You seen this? You heard about this? Was watching the United Arsenal game today. Shout out to United. Shout out to them. Actually, like, holding it together and, like, looking like a real team. Bruno Fernandes. Ayo. Yeah, at halftime of that game, they announced all the details of the American series, whatever they're calling it, the Summer American Series, whatever the hell they're calling it. Premier League's coming to the U.S. They're not just coming to the States, brother. They're coming to Chicago. I'm like, dude, I literally, like, waited until halftime, like I was watching, like, them, like, draw for the World Cup. Like, I'm like, what cities are they going to go to? And also, like, what teams are going to... Dude, the 4 teams coming to America this summer. Manchester United. Whoa, get in. AFC Bournemouth. Whoa, impressed. Everton. Whoa, Tim Howard in the building. Whoa. And then West Ham. Boo. And a hush falls over the crowd. I was so bummed it wasn't Villa. Because the 2 games that are going to be happening in Chicago are United versus Bournemouth and then Everton versus West Ham. And I was like, what if it was United versus Villa? Oh, it would have been so perfect. It would have been so good. I need to go. I have to go to this. We're discussing it. I registered for the pre-sale tickets. But, like, we live right by Soldier Field. Like, we are less than a mile away from Soldier Field. I could walk to the game. And I won't be able to stomach if, like, there is I don't care if it's preseason and it's exhibition, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to get to see Premier League teams in my life. Sure, teams, they do American circuits and shit like that all the time. And no, it is not inconceivable to think that I could one day in my life end up seeing, somebody else. It could absolutely happen. But, like, you know what I mean? I'm just so excited. We're really going to try. It's in July. We're really, really going to try to go. We'll see what happens. I'm a little bummed about the teams that are coming. I was like, really? Bournemouth, and they've had a good season. Everton, they've had a good season. But like if we're doing Liverpool teams, let's get Liverpool. Let's do them. Oh, we're doing Manchester teams. We couldn't get City. Oh, okay. But the truth is, I said this to Maddie. I was like, it's good that they didn't get City to do this. I'm not being funny here. I'm not about to like break out into a bit. I am being dead ass serious. If Manchester City ever played a game in Chicago, I would rush the field. I would be a guy who in the middle of the game is on the field. I don't know how I'm going to make my way to Erling Haaland, but I would just be like, do you have a grenade that you need me to fall on in your pocket or something? Like, just, can I have a hug? I'm like, what's up, De Bruyne? What's up? What's up, Phil Foden? What's up? And then as I'm running, I lock eyes with Ederson, and I'm like, you fucking stink. You're bad. But my eyes would say it, so he would see it. Which, by the way, lost against Nottingham Forest 1-0. You know why they lost 1-0? Because Ederson is not good. Because he's bad. Also because Haaland missed an early opportunity that he would otherwise never miss. They're just so dead. They're so dead. Premier League coming to the United States. For those of you who listened to the last episode, our new formula for the team that I root for in the Premier League is for the rest of the season, if Leicester is able to draw 1 point, at least 1 point from any of their remaining teams that they play, that's the team that I'm going to end up rooting for, right? They played Chelsea today as of this taping. Fuck. You guys watched that one? Oh, it was so close. I know for a fact, dude, that if you were watching that, the second that Mads Hermansen stopped that Cole Palmer penalty, you also started to believe at home. As soon as Cole Palmer is missing penalties, could you imagine that? The guy for like his entire life, not his entire life, but that guy does not miss penalties. And I couldn't get over the moment where I was like, I've been saying on this show that Hermansen is the only guy left on the team that I think actually cares and is actually trying. And I was like, what a better moment to put that on display than in a one-on-one 12 yards apart with like one of the best penalty takers that we have. I say we, it's not my league, that the Premier League has today, and Cole Palmer stopped his fucking ass. And I'm sitting there, my son is asleep, and I'm like doing a silent scream. Oh, oh, yes! I didn't stop for like 2 minutes. I couldn't believe. I was like, it's about to happen. I was like, we're gonna go 0-0, and it's gonna be a point. I'm gonna be rooting for Chelsea. It didn't happen. No, they ended up losing. But they play United in like a week. Keeping an eye on that one. I think the United game is going to be a draw. Leicester still hasn't scored a goal in, was it 6 games now? They're not getting close. There's nothing that they can do. Stamford Bridge today was very quiet most of the time. Leicester fans actually pretty loud today. Yeah, I don't know. Is that it? Is that it for you guys today? I think that might be it for you guys today. Alrighty, folks. If you are watching this on, how do I do this? If you are listening to this on Spotify, I'm sure 5 stars. How do I do this again? If you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. This is crazy. I'm just going to move on to Apple Podcasts. Oh, right. Because I usually ask Spotify a question. I'm sorry. That's why I was getting confused. Spotify, no questions. Oh, some of you, I asked in the last episode, I was like, what's something that you're good at? Top 5% in the world. One of you was like, I'm really good. I'm top 5% in the world at being high as fuck and ordering fast food in the drive-thru. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? I sat here for like 15 minutes and was like, do I want to get this guy on the show? And he's a field reporter, coping hour field reporter on the boots on the ground at a local Taco Bell. And the first 30 minutes of the show is just him hitting a bowl. And so that way we know for sure that he's actually high. But then what? And then what happens? We time him to go through the drive-thru. What are we putting the time up against? Is there a world record for a guy who is high as fuck and went through a drive-thru? I doubt it. Do we say like if you can't get your food? But then it's also like you're top 5% in the world like getting high and ordering food. What the fuck is that? It's not like getting your food because you're still at the mercy of the people actually working in the restaurant to get your food in like a fast manner. What does that even mean? So when I smoke weed, I talk really fast. I talk like I'm at a fucking auction. Can I get a Baja Freeze? Can I get a cheesy gordita crunch? Can I get a Locos Tacos? Shit like that. Top 5% in the world at that. Cool. What does that guy even mean? What did he mean by that? I have no idea. That's why I was like, we got to get him on the show. This is not an invitation. Don't tell, oh, I'd love to come on the show. You're not coming on the fucking show. But I'm just saying, what does that look like? Because then when it's over, he just sits there and he's high and he just eats his food. And then what? We have okay, wait, hold on. Guy gets really high before we start recording. We start the show. He's ordering food in a drive-thru. And then the next, I don't know, 45 minutes of the show, there's just like one guy in what would essentially be a live audience of the Coping Hour who's just high as fuck sitting in his car eating food, maybe doing some nasal exhale laughs every now and then. I have no idea how that would go. Okay. Apple Podcasts. What's up? If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.